pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue. That's the Chicago way.
John and Lauren, good morning, everybody. The case of Eric Gardner, all cop homicide death cases are different. This one is different from the one in Ferguson. I got to tell you, Lauren Cohn, this one bothers me.
Oh, me
The other
too.
one bothered me, but this one bothers me.
After you see the video, of course, after what happened in New York and no indictment, yeah, how can you not be bothered?
It's like when he says, well, listen to what he was saying. He was selling loosies, right, which are cigarettes, loose cigarettes. The cops came up and they were told to crack down by the city, crack down on the guy selling loosies. They had a confrontation. He didn't back down. They put a chokehold on him. Listen.
I can't breathe. 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 I can't breathe.
Those were his death words. On the line with us, Chuck Gowdy, Channel 7, the Eyewitness News team, the I-Team, to talk about chokeholds in Chicago taught by Chicago police, no longer applicable. Right, Chuck?
No, in fact, most police departments used to learn how to do chokeholds, and I doubt there are any in the country right now that do. But there are other kinds of holds that they are still taught in an effort to bring suspects under control, and those are not only legal but prescribed in the police handbooks.
Tell us about some of those, because Lauren and I watched with interest your excellent report. I mean, you were on top of this right away. Tell us about some of the holds.
Well, certainly there are holds using pressure points on bones and muscles that police use just to move suspects along. But the hold that really is considered to be the choke hold is where you cut off somebody's windpipe and ability to breathe. Now, there have been experts in the last 24 hours who have said that if Mr. Garner had actually been subject to a choke hold, he wouldn't even have been able to talk and say, "I can't breathe." If your windpipe is cut off, you can't talk. You can't get air to talk. It is a distinction, but it's one that may have been made before the grand jury. And if that officer were to have testified and said, "I didn't have him in a chokehold, I had him in a different kind of hold in an effort to control him," it may be that is what caused the grand jury to not issue a true bill and indict the man.
It's interesting that you brought that up, Chuck, because, everybody sees the video different from what we saw in Ferguson. There's actually video of it, but there is stuff that we haven't heard because in the grand jury secret documents that would lead you to believe how could, there must be something else for them to come to this type of decision.
Well, there would have to be, and it may be the argument that if he was able to talk, he wasn't actually in a chokehold. I mean, I don't know what the grand jury was told or what the testimony was because it hasn't been released as it was in Ferguson. But there are police departments across the country that are taught what's known carotid control, which is pressure put on the vascular neck area, and it's an effort to essentially immobilize a suspect, and doesn't have anything to do with cutting off their breathing passages and their airway.
Have you ever been pepper sprayed, either of you two? Because I have. You ever had that?
No.
Pepper spray is one of the things that the Chicago Police Department is taught. They carry pepper spray. I mean, there's a whole variety of tools that are available for police to control an individual.
You can't breathe then either, Chuck. I'll tell you. It was many days in a different personality type. My hair was pulled back, and I was sprayed right in the face, and you cannot breathe with that stuff in your nose. I'm just saying.
No, that's for sure.
I
mean, the police in Ferguson quickly last week used tear gas, and for anybody who didn't have on a gas mask or got in the way of it, I mean, it immobilizes you because you are in pain.
Hey, Chuck, you also mentioned in your story a case here in Chicago from 14 years ago. Tell us about that, because that was very interesting.
Well, apparently on the west side, back in 2000, a couple of police officers on patrol spotted somebody in what I think they believed to be a stolen car. There was some suspicion aroused why this person was in this car. They chased him. They took him into custody, and during the course of that, one of the officers put him in what was described in the lawsuit that followed as a chokehold. The person died. There were no criminal charges filed. The guy remained on the job. and the family of the young man who was killed sued and said that he violated constitutional rights, violated police policy, etc. They lost that case. It was appealed, and the appeal was rejected as well. So nothing ever came of that case. I'm not sure that it would go the same direction today in the circumstances that we see, but It was interesting that the circumstances back then were very similar to what happened in the case in New York.
Chuck Gowdy, I-Team, ABC News Chicago, thanks for joining us, Chuck. It was a great report last night. Thanks for being on
Okay, all right,
with us.
thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Listen, police excessive force, okay, 591-8900. I'll tell you how to control somebody. He's 95 years old. He's sitting in his room. You shoot him 5 times in the guts with a beanbag shotgun if you're police. This is a white victim, black police officer. Nobody made it a racial thing. There's many other cases like this. It's not racial. This is about police force. Do you have anything to say? Call us.
Stay connected with 89 WLS. Download the free WLS app to your smartphone or tablet now at WLSAM.com.
Hey, we're back here on the Big 89, taking your calls, 312-591-8900, as we're all reacting to the decision out of the grand jury in New York. No charges against the officer who held Eric Gardner in a chokehold, and as a result, he died. They had a lot of protests in New York. We're going to go live to WABC TV's David Navarro in the 10 o'clock hour. Not quite the Ferguson situation, but they definitely were riled up in New York over this.
Well, they have a right to be. People have a right to be angry, and we're not. Look, I'm not going after the cops. I generally 99% of the time have their back. But cops I talk to, look, these cases are not the same.
Very
all
different.
the same. But you gun down a 95-year-old man in his chair in a nursing home, 5 shots, pump shotgun, beanbag rounds to the gut, and he bleeds to death. Guess what? There should be a federal investigation there too, Mr. Obama.
Well, and what's interesting in this case is, because we all watch the video and we don't know the other stuff that the grand jury was privy to, so there are things we don't know. But just in this case, where you're able to watch the video, I was shocked by not even something like involuntary manslaughter or excessive force in this case when you heard the words, "I can't breathe." But let's hear what some of the listeners think about this. Let's take some calls here on the Big 89. Good morning, Mike. You are on the air. What did you think of the decision?
I think that it's a correct decision, and like I told the screener, that man, if you watch the video, when he started moving his hands and backing away, that's what's called an active resistor.
Yeah.
We're not taught in any police academy throughout the United States you're not taught to use a chokehold. But in their defense, those officers, every situation is different. He dictated how much force has to be used in that situation. So when the copper got up from behind him, and that's exactly what you're supposed to do. You lower your subject. This man's humongous. How is anyone going to put handcuffs on this guy without getting him? And that's what you're trained to do. Get him on the ground, keep him from moving, cuff him up. They did not intentionally. There was no beating. There was no. If they went out to just go out and look for somebody, look at it. It's plain as day. They weren't pounding his head off the ground. Nothing. There was a controlled situation. It was unfortunate, but every situation is different, and it's very easy for everyone to sit there and second guess. And they should have done this. They should have done that. Why didn't he just say, "Okay, you know what? Write me the ticket. Whatever you're going to do, or if you got to throw cuffs on me, take me in. That's it. You have your day in court."
He started backing up.
Up to him to start backing away.
Mike,
Yes.
It's clear. It sounds to me like you're a police officer.
I am a police officer.
And it's. I've talked to some guys who say, and of course everybody's a Monday morning quarterback, even cops on this. And somebody
Right.
could say, well, you could take his leg out, right? Or you could kick his leg out. Then you got to take but a big guy like that, you have to use your baton. How does that look on the video?
I was just going to say, how's that going to look if they start swinging sticks at this guy or start sweeping his leg? This guy, you saw the size of this guy. How you think it's easy to just do a leg sweep and get this guy on the ground?
Because it's
No way.
MacGyver. It's like on
Right.
TV.
Yeah, right. That's exactly it. These people watch these idiotic nonsense TV shows where the little girl or the little tiny guy is going to take down a big dude like that. I'm telling you, it's very difficult. It's harder than it looks. And like I said, sometimes police work is violent, and people just have to realize that.
Thanks,
it's
Mike.
the nature of the beast.
Thanks, Mike. We're getting a lot of calls. If you're a police officer, I got a question for you, though. Would you shoot an old man 5 times in the guts like they did to John Reyna? And should the federal government investigate that one, too.
Hey, good morning, Preston. You are on 89 WLS. Your thoughts on this?
Hey, thanks, John Lord, taking my call. Yeah, I went to Orr High School, Chicago Avenue in Pulaski. We had police sitting in our high school. That was their assignments. So I know good cops, but I also know some dirty cops. I grew up on the west side, Humboldt Park, Garfield Park. One day, this is just one of many incidents, but one day me and my friend walked down the street from his house, and we walked up on Division and Lawndale to the store, both of us. The police came in there. These are black cops. This is 2004, 2003. The police came in and arrested my friend for no reason whatsoever. You know, when you live in the hood, they had these days where they would just come by and sweep people. If you didn't have your ID on you, they would take you to jail. And that's exactly what happened to my friend. They took him to jail for no reason whatsoever. He didn't have any warrants. He didn't do anything. And I was like, we just came from his house. And they was like, hey, shut up.
Thank you, Preston.
And I was just saying, we just came from his house. They're like, hey, you want to go with him? And the only reason they didn't take me to jail is because at that time I was working for Bank One, and I had a certain time. That's the only reason. So there are bad cops out here.
All right.
There are good cops, but you just can't say that. You just can't give the cops a free ride. They have to be, held accountable for their actions.
Preston, thanks for the call.
Preston.
We appreciate it, hearing both points of view on this one. Yeah, I mean, it's when you see the video, I think when his head's down on the ground, that's the compelling part. And he's saying, I can't breathe. Why not pull the arm off him? You had 6 or 8 officers already around him at that point. I mean, that's the part that you see.
But then if you tase him or use the baton right on a big guy to knock him down or knock his leg out, that means a guy kicking him hard in the leg and pulling the back of his hair.
But they're allowed.
Okay, you want to see that? I mean,
but they're allowed, right? But they're allowed to use the baton. They're not supposed to be using a chokehold position.
Put that baton on TV.
Yeah.
People see a black man getting hit with a baton. See, there's a lot of. But here's the thing about John Reyna: he was a white guy. No one's making a big racial issue, but he was a white guy. I don't see any. I don't know, what is it? What is it? I don't see the congressman in Barack Obama's old district demanding that there be a federal investigation into that one. I don't see it.
No, there are just too many cases. It's picking and choosing. Let's take one more call. John, good morning. You're on 89 WLS.
Yeah, this man died for not paying 2 cents worth of tax.
Yeah, I know.
Is that where our country's at now?
That's terrible.
Is that what
isn't
we
it?
got to crack down on, 1-2 pennies?
That means the government wanted its money, right, Johnny?
Yeah.
Thanks, John.
All right.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
Damn it.
All right, coming up, North Korea is blaming us for Ebola. What?
Friday morning with Bruce Wolf and Dan Proft. Ugly Christmas sweaters at 6:18.
And the Christmas future for gas prices at 6:48.
Friday morning, Bruce Wolf, Dan Proft, 89 WLS.